Welcome, everybody. My name is Giusy Buonfantino, and I lead the CPG industry solution at Google Cloud. I'll be joined shortly by Thomas Beetschen, or Thomas, Global Director at Mondelez of Consumer Experiences, Technologies, and Services, and client of Google Cloud. What's happening with our consumers? It will come as a no surprise to any of you that we are experiencing fundamental changes in how people discover, experience, and shop for CPG brands. What seemed to be a short-term adjustment 18 months ago is turning into a long-term behavioral change. Specifically, we saw that before the pandemic, almost half of consumers said that discovery was a top reason to go to a store. Now, 70% of consumers bought from brands that they discover on YouTube. Before, 72% of consumers prefer shopping in store because of the touch and feel experience. Now, they actually prefer to try products from the comfort of their home. Before, 50% of consumers said they would never buy a CPG product online. Now, 3 out of 4 consumers buy a CPG product online. As people shift their shopping journey to online channels, brands need to be present in those digital touch points, leveraging data to drive personalized experience that consumers love. Google Cloud is helping CPG to digitally transform through data-driven innovation, beginning with the consumers and extending throughout the value chain. Basically, we want to help a CPG to become a technology company. There are 3 key areas in which Google Cloud can help you to drive your business: unlocking consumer growth with data-powered insights, transform go-to-market in the omnichannel ecosystem, and driving connected, efficient, and sustainable operations. Starting from the first area, we actually recommend our CPG clients to take 3 easy steps to improve the infrastructure and ensure the data work harder. Start with modernizing their data warehouse and the data lakes, removing the data silos across the enterprise to be able to act on the data you already have. Have a solid first-party data strategy and build a solid infrastructure to unlock this data in a privacy-centric way, and democratize the data and insights across the organization. With a customer data platform or consumer data platform on Google Cloud, you can drive personalized marketing use cases. As some example, identify cohorts, which is leveraging consumer profile and smart segmentation with Looker blocks. Real-time insights, understanding how third-party sources like the weather can impact consumption. Customize audiences, understanding consumer behavior with ML-driven segmentation, and customize those audiences with Looker's customer match. And finally, activate. Use the Looker actions to push insights or segment across marketing platforms for activation. And this is an example I love, a Looker BI visualization tool, a user-friendly tool to visualize data analytics across the organization and democratize these insights and action with a self-service, simple analytics platform. We covered the first pillar. Now let's cover the second pillar, which is transform the go-to-market in the new omnichannel way. Google Cloud is helping already leading retailers and D2C brands to modernize the digital commerce and data capability. So we know what is best in class in digital commerce, and we are set up to help the CPG brands to become best in class in digital commerce. Few steps that you can take. Number 1, migrate your digital commerce platform to Google Cloud with our digital commerce migration offering. Leverage our digital commerce modernization methodology to create your path for modernization, and then creating more engaging consumer experiences with AR and AI-powered experiences. This is the recipe for transforming your commerce experience. Moving to the last pillar, which is very rich in offering from Google Cloud, drive connected, efficient, and sustainable operations. We have rich offering, as I said, to help you to connect your operations, manufacturing, and supply chain data and use AI and ML to drive intelligent decision making and a more connected culture of innovation across your business. I'm going to talk about my three favorites. The first one is SAP on GCP. Migrating SAP to Google Cloud has many benefits, the biggest being from day one to be able to connect operational and business data scale, leverage Google AI and ML to fuel new predictive insights, and future-proof your business with a secure and open agile infrastructure. The second solution is about demand forecasting. This excites me because transform the demand forecasting process. Why? Because traditional demand forecasting methodology really do not allow to take into account the granular factors that impact demand from local weather, demographics, geolocation, events. With Vertex AI, you can create a demand forecasting engine that is built on top of a flexible data layer where you can bring a different data signal into your data warehouse, which is BigQuery. Create a single source of truth for forecasted demand that can be integrated in your current systems. Moving to manufacturing, let's talk about quality. Quality is a huge driver of performance of CPG manufacturers. Bad quality generates significant direct and measurable costs in scrapping and reworking. But the real cost is also about supply chain disruption, customer reputation risk, and brand reputation risk as consumers act very fast on social media. Visual Inspection AI is a solution that helps reducing defects and save operational costs in the manufacturing inspection process by automating the process to quickly find defects before the product gets shipped. CPG organizations are coming to us for the toughest problem to solve. And we bring the power of one Google, the best of Google, our innovation, our culture, our infrastructure, our AI ML, and understanding of consumer behavior to grow your business. And we are seeing great momentum with leading CPG and global brands and rapidly growing ecosystem of partners that will all work for your business growth. And now I am excited to be talking to Mondelez International, one of the world's largest snack companies and our Google Cloud customer. If you had any Cadbury, Oreo, Toblerone, it's personally my favorite, you had a Mondelez product. These are brands consumers know and love in over 160 countries. To talk about Mondelez data and analytics strategy, I have with me Thomas Beetschen, Global Director, Consumer Experiences, Technologies and Services at Mondelez. Thomas, welcome. Let's talk talking a little bit about you and your role at Mondelez as an introduction to our audience.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. For the past 4 years, I've been focusing on really putting the technology that is needed for marketers to market to consumers. From the ads we create to the inventory that we buy to the website that we have, we've been making sure that we have the right tech and the right data so that the marketers can market.
Oh, wow. So a lot of work. And so tell me more about the Mondelez consumer data analytics strategy, the journey. Where are you with that at this stage?
Sure. We really started about 3.5 years ago with our adverts and our digital adverts. And we started that journey with Google, both in terms of the platform in which we put those ads, the YouTubes of the world, but also how we collect the information from those ads. And that was our first foray into the Google Cloud in terms of recuperating some of that information. Now we are maturing and we are starting to take more data from other places and starting to bring it together into an enterprise view to drive some insights. This also is really foundational to our insight capabilities, and this is using Google Cloud platforms in order to do that. We call this D4GV, Data for Growth and Value, which is a whole enterprise program and which we started about a year ago, and we are accelerating right now.
That's great. It seems like this data for growth and value platform is a dream of C-suite, and so you made it happen at Mondelez. And if I drill down about personalized marketing, you and I talk about it so many times, and you mentioned data automation with AI and ML have such a central role in the new way of personalized consumer journey. However, scale is also difficult to achieve. So, how did you achieve scale at Mondelez?
So if we look at what does it take to bring great adverts in front of consumers, there is a bit of a trilogy. There is the content, the creatives, the video that people will see. There is the audiences and the segments that we have to target, and then the platform where we actually put those ads on websites or on YouTube, for instance. So we've been working on those three things, and we've really been looking at multiplying the amount of information that we have and the amount of adverts that we create. And in order to do that, we need technology that enable us to multiply. And when we say multiply, this is going from about 40 to 50,000 creatives, banners or a video per year, to more than 1 million. This is about capturing about 500 billion piece of information from our consumers when they interact with our ads. So in order to do that, we have to put that data into technology containers that one can support that data and then that we can analyze. And this is how we're doing all of that journey with the Google Cloud capability and the Google Ad Tech capability, where we use the native integration between the two to be able to go very, very quickly.
And you achieve a tremendous results. And you said something very important, the Google Cloud capability with the Google Ad capability. You are best in class in using Alphabet platforms holistically. So thank you for that. Now let's drill down again on go back to data for growth and value platform. Well, what was the objective at the beginning of the journey of this data for growth program?
I think for us, the objective was to move to the next league in a way. We have done a lot of work in each of the channels. So in marketing, in sales, in supply chain, we have a lot of data. But as a CPG organization, the trick for us is to bring all of this together. So bringing information from the ads, from sales, from the waste of product, for the capability of their factories, and giving the opportunity to general managers in business unit, in market, to then see whether all of the part of the CPG works together and whether we can actually identify opportunities. So the data for growth and value piece for us is bringing all of the enterprise data assets into one place, or at least a few places, because we have regions and continents, and then being able to collect that information, visualize it for a lot of our business users, and create insight. And again, the insight creation comes with machine learning, with automation, due to the vast amount of information that needs to be put together and then analyzed.
That's great. And knowing CPG and the complexity of CPG are in many geography, different culture, decentralization, many brands. How do you manage to accommodate all these differences in driving central programs and be effective locally?
I think we take a few approaches. The first one is very much freedom within a framework. And that's to be able to say, look, those are things that we can do repetitively everywhere in the same way. Let's not reinvent the wheel. We have scale and we can do that. And the Google technology, the Google APIs, the Google machine learning capability enable us to do that. And then it's giving the opportunity to each of those market or brands then to look for the information that is important for them to optimize the campaign that they specifically need. So this is done through technology. This is also done through data governance. So we have teams in place where we make sure that we treat data in a very specific way. And for instance, one of the work that we have done on the marketing side is very much pay a lot of attention to data accuracy. So in this case, using our Google Ad Tech, we've made sure that every single piece of campaign is codified, and is codified in a unique way. And where we are today is over 99.5% data accuracy. That's really important on 500 billion rows, because the algorithm can then work on clean data at scale, and this is where the value comes. This is what large CPG can do, because they have the scale and they can leverage that scale and take benefit.
Very encouraging. So I'm going to pivot to a slightly different topic, which is a CDP, Customer Data Platform. I'm super passionate about that because CPG is historically data poor, or have the data a little bit everywhere, and an investment on a customer data platform or consumer data platform could be very difficult to make and to convince the organization to do it. So I would love to know more about your journey, because you've been a pioneer and you choose the combination of Google Cloud, Accenture, and Lytics to implement a CDP. How is impacting your business, and how will you think is going to impact your business?
Sure, and you're right. In CPG, we are quite often data poor, partly because there isn't that many occasions where consumers want to connect directly with us digitally. But there are some, and we do some. So those are some e-commerce sites, some promotional sites, some websites, some CRM activities. Every time this happens, we want to make sure that the data we have about our consumers is accurate, it's safe, and then is being used for insight, for segmentation, for innovation, etc. We've been on this journey for about 2 years, and the first things we needed to do was to kind of decide what type of information we need, and we've done that in a very incubator way. Now that we are ready, now that we actually understand what we need, what data, how to industrialize it, we are using Google Cloud technology, we are using technology like Lytics in terms of putting that data together to be able then to really stop losing data, in the sense of not utilizing it and bringing it into one specific place. So this is a great opportunity for us to combine D4GV, which is an architecture structure, with Google Cloud, and enable us to start to build data product like a consumer store, like a CDP, that sits on top of this infrastructure and are absolutely available to our insight and analytics, consumer insights, and kind of consumer research team for them to find the right audiences and the right segments.
You make it sound very easy, but we know that navigating into an organization and aligning business partners and peers around the globe is not easy. So give us your secret.
I wish we had one. I think what we have tried to do is have a matrix of collaboration. On one hand is have collaboration with global functions, where we have center of excellence, where we have people that are expert in some specific areas. I've personally collaborated for a number of years now with our media and consumer experience global teams. And there we build really the big strategies, and we create the incubators, and we drive things. And we have done that with media, some others have done with sales and supply chain. And then we go in market, and we partner in market around some specific use cases. So we have across our brands different use cases. In the US, brands like Oreos are really going into DTC and some personalization. In India, brands like Cadbury's are going into interactions and getting close to the family. Those are different use cases, and we bring those use cases to life through those market interaction using the global capabilities that we have built. It takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of translation between the tech team and the marketing teams and the Google teams, but that's something that we've done, and I think we've been pretty successful at it so far.
Thomas, a great conversation, and always a pleasure not just to interact with you, but of course to work with you. A great leader among the Mondelez. So leave us with the top 3 tips to get CPG industry future ready as Mondelez.
I think for CPG is really start to care about the granular data. Historically, we've loved data in terms of market research, and we need to learn how to love data in its utmost granular piece, every record, every impression. This is what the algorithm will need. I would say that that is one. The second one is look at the use cases. In the end, this is where the value is. So it's very, very close to what are each of the brand and campaign trying to solve, and making sure that we apply technology to solve those type of opportunities. That's what drives the P&L. That's what drives some of the value. So very much use case specific. And the third one I would say is, unless you have very standard brands that are global and the same everywhere, and some enterprise will have that, but otherwise assume that it's always different in every country. The challenge is to not duplicate what is common, but what is different will remain different, and it needs a specific answer every single time.
Great, 3 tips. Thank you so much, Thomas, and see you hopefully in person to work on another great project with Google Cloud.
Thank you for having me.